First reason, coding makes managing the infrastructure in DevOps easier. Usually, DevOps tasks are done in some kind of cloud or some kind of other infrastructure. So, managing all these things by manually going and typing some commands and making sure it will work as per your setup can be little bit difficult for most people. So what's the best way to do that? The best way to do that would be to manage everything using code, that is the infrastructure. Let's say that if you want to create one virtual machine in some cloud server where you want to deploy your code, so what's the best way to do that? In order to do that, in traditional way, you have to create the server first, then you have to set up all the functionalities and softwares inside it, then you might have to create another instance for setting up database. So all these things will make sure that you will be working on all the tasks which is unrelated to your DevOps. So that's not really a good idea. So what's the best way to do that? Best way to do that is to install maybe Terraform, and you give access to whatever the cloud provider or any kind of other thing which you might be using. And once you have given Terraform that, you write some codes that what and all needs to happen. That is like you might need to install some kind of a database, you might need to create some instance. Once you write all the codes in it, then you execute that Terraform query, and the moment you execute it, it's going to do all those tasks which you had to do manually if you didn't code that particular Terraform configuration. So using code is always preferred for making all the infrastructure related tasks, not only for ease of it, but in order to make it accurately without getting any kind of mistake while doing it. Second reason is obviously you will be releasing the codes only to the production level. So that's what is your job. When we say DevOps, it's nothing but you are working with one code and you are making sure that all the developers, whatever they code, is going to get released online and everything related to that works fine. So obviously you are working with code only. So when you are working with code, you need to know at least something about it, right? Without knowing what code you are actually running is not really that great idea, because if some fault happens, you should be able to pinpoint, okay, in this code, this functionality might not be working, and you have to create one support ticket for your coder friends, and they'll fix the bug whatever they have. But in order to understand that something is fault, that you will understand only if you know about what code you are actually executing. It's not like you need to know everything about the code. It's just that you should be able to identify point of failure or something might not be working. For example, there might be some kind of database connection, and that database connection has certain code in it, and you should be able to know that, okay, these codes are being executed for connecting to database, and if some error is there in that particular case, you should be able to pinpoint that, okay, in this code there is error, and when that error happens, this particular problem happens. That is, the code is not being executed properly, and customers might be facing some kind of problem. So that's your responsibility to identify the code, and in the end you are releasing the code only. That's why you need to know a little bit about coding and what exactly you are executing. That also you should know. Third reason is automation of DevOps tasks can be done using coding. As I said in the first point, that is like infrastructure should be managed via code. Same way, many automation can be done. For example, if you want to deploy your code to GitHub and set up some kind of workflow, there are so many ways you can tell the GitHub that okay, this is how this pipeline should work. First, it needs to go to the GitHub and it should try to execute the program. And when that execution happens, it should test all the things which is needed by that particular application. And if that particular test passes, you should take it to maybe a development server and you should deploy it there. And after that, the testers will actually come and test the software. Once they are okay with it, that thing should again go to production level and you should be gone to the actual customers who are using the application. Okay, all these things you have to manually set it up if you don't use the code. But if you use some kind of coding language like YAML file, then you can tell the GitHub saying like, okay, in every step this thing should happen, and once this step is over, then another step should be executed. And these things can be done using GitHub Actions. So it is nothing but you have to tell it using code only that that, okay, this thing should happen, and then again another thing should happen because of that. So what I'm trying to tell is you can automate all the DevOps related tasks of creating pipelines and making sure all the things are deployed in proper place. You can automate it if you know the code. So that's it for this video, guys. And if you like this kind of video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.